You're listening to Careers and Cocktails, career talk with a twist, hosted by expert recruiter Renee Frey. Let's get this party started.
Hey, party people, welcome back to Careers and Cocktails. I am thrilled to be zooming in with Gina Lemon today. Gina, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you. I have lived most of my life in Minneapolis. I love the metro area. I've been in human resources for 25 years, and I also have done coach training for the past 12 years. And I just recently made a pivot with my career. So I'm excited to be here and celebrate. This is really a celebration moment.
Yes, congratulations. And we got to open this wine so we can cheers. Okay, what are we drinking? I've got my wine.
Good. Mine's already open.
Okay, I got to pour your glass. I got to open mine.
Good. So this is a Louis M. Martini. Mine happens to be from 2018.
Let's see.
And I just have been drinking this cab for a really long time. And I went to Sonoma before I ever went to Napa. And I'm telling you, Sonoma is just as good as Napa. I don't know why Napa gets all the praise.
That's what I've heard. So my sister and her husband live in California, and they say that Sonoma is more chill and Napa is a little more pretentious.
And I've been to both at this point, and I like them both.
Yeah.
I think it's just, the experience that you're trying to look for.
Right.
So I like them both. And this is a really good cab. So what I didn't know, because I'm just learning about all these new things, that the Cabernet grape is like, that's their place. So if you go there for like a Riesling, or if you go there for other types of wines, you really, I think, need to like cabs.
Oh yeah.
Because that's their grape that they grow there.
It's all dependent on region.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get to learn all of these really wonderful things. And this is a funny fact about me, because I've been in HR for 25 years, right? Like HR people probably don't day drink unless we're in the land of COVID, maybe. So this is honestly the first time that I can say I've worked today. I guess I could still go and work. But this is the first time I've had a drink at like 2:30 in the afternoon. So I want to say thank you and cheers for this opportunity.
I love it. Now you got to tell me, 25 years in HR, how many times have you pulled your hair out?
Well, this is all still real hair, but I do have to tell you it's red, a nice dye from Cole's Salon in Burnsville, my local hairstylist. And it's like this almost love-hate relationship, because human beings are so amazing and also so complex. So I'm drawn into the spirit of the human, and also trying to understand like why people do some of the things that they do, because it's a lot about perspectives, which is something that I want to lean into with my pivot, right? I want to be this, I'm playing with it because I want to be more creative. It's about perspective and possibility coach. That is.
What can we celebrate?
Ooh, okay, good. So, yes, celebrating the fact that this is week 2 of not being in corporate America after 25 years. Cheers. Cheers to choosing not to work for anyone else. I'm going to I've created my own business. It's called Pandemic Possibilities.
Fantastic.
And I'm doing fractional human resources work and coaching. And what I am sharing with people is that I'm creating the rest of my life now so that I don't have to retire. I want to really live into my full potential now. And I don't want to ever retire. And I want my work to wrap around my life and my life to wrap around my work. And I stole that from someone recently. So
not stealing, it's called modeling.
Oh, modeling. Okay.
Model.
I like that.
We don't steal things, we just model.
I like that shift in language. Thank you. Language is very important to me. So I appreciate that. So what do you think of the Louis M. Martini?
Oh, it's delicious. When my team was telling me that's what we're drinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, every time there's a place on a golf course in Woodbury, and this is like the happy hour wine. It's delicious. Mm-hmm.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I do make some really dangerous chocolate cake with this as a part of the ingredients. So maybe sometime when we can meet in person, I'll bring you some amazing chocolate cake with red wine in it.
Chocolate cake. Tell me more. What is it? You put it as the water? I've never even heard of wine in a baked product, Gina.
Oh, you got to Google it. It's been a while since I've made the recipe. However, it's delicious. And it's really the cake. The cake stands out and you just put a little bit of Cool Whip on top or some whipping cream.
Yep.
It creates additional moisture in it.
Oh,
So
yum.
I still think that you're adding other ingredients like eggs and maybe water. I don't know, but maybe it takes the place of water and oil. I'm not like the best baker.
I'm not a good cook either. Okay, Gina, we're going on the party bus.
Okay.
You have to pick someone or maybe a couple people. They're going on our party bus. They have to be alive and famous. Who is coming with?
Oh my gosh, alive and famous. So Glennon Doyle.
Oh.
She's definitely one because we have something in common. We've both biked a really long way on a bicycle. So she did the Washington, D.C. AIDS ride a couple of years before I did. And that's written in her first book, Carry On Warrior. So I feel like we were part of a similar tribe. So although
I think I have her second book. Well, and I love cycling. So yeah.
Okay, we've got more to talk about then.
We totally do.
She would come on the party bus and Brene Brown.
Oh yeah, they'd be good. I think Glennon would be a little more wild than Brene. But you never know. Brene might surprise us.
You get a couple of drinks in her.
Right.
And if you tell her it's the party bus and she needs to party and drop her scientific hat for a second.
But I love both of those ladies. Very good choices.
Yeah. Those are the two that are coming top of mind.
I like it.
That I would love to spend more time with and talk to. Of course, Oprah, if she doesn't have anything else going on.
Yeah.
Good choice. Oh, okay. Wait, I lie. Okay. Mel Robbins and Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, that would be super fun.
Because
you add Snoop Dogg because he might add a little flair.
Snoop Dogg. Yes. And maybe if we're going down the musical route, I'd say Katy Perry.
Oh, I love Katy Perry too.
Yeah.
She would come with some crazy outfit and outdo us all.
Well, and I hope that she would share her crazy outfits. I hope that she would bring part of her closet. If we're going on the party bus, that would be a requirement.
The right mentality. You got the right mentality, Gina. All right, let's talk careers. So you made the shift from 25 years corporate VP of HR to owner of Pandemic Possibilities. Walk us through the awakening you had and why you're here.
So there's two big pieces that I'd love to share with you. The first one, and depending on how much you followed me on LinkedIn or how, we're connected, but just depending on the depth of the audience too, is the first thing I'd like to share with everyone is that I've already feel like I've been through a pandemic. So my father, when I was 17, was gay and he contracted AIDS back in the 90s. So he died of AIDS when he was 40 and I was 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I have felt like I've been in a pandemic state since I've been 17. So when COVID hit and it really reached pandemic state, it was hard. It was a juxtaposition, almost a deja vu moment where it was like everyone now understood and got what trauma was on a pandemic scale. Like you could not avoid COVID-19. So it was really this coming awakening of my 17-year-old soul, my 22-year-old soul. I was alive and I felt a belonging with the LGBTQ plus community. And I've stayed in that community over the course of my life. It's really about that my soul was just really deadened. I was waking up, going to work, doing the things that I thought I should do. And I didn't really think about it. I spent more time planning vacations than I did planning my life. I think sometimes we get into those ruts or what someone calls the hamster wheel. So when COVID hit, I said, okay, I'm going to stop for real. And hopefully a lot of other people did as well. And I went to a meditation retreat that happened to be led by Deepak Chopra.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh
and let
my
me
gosh,
tell you,
that had to be incredible.
I'm telling you, I spent the most money I've ever spent on a vacation. It was the first time I didn't have any plans. I sat and I meditated and I ate vegan and I learned all about, Eastern medicine for a week. And it was the first time I'd ever done that. I'm a go-getter, right? Like I constantly have stuff on the agenda. So I did that for a week. And I'm telling you, Renee, my soul came alive.
Oh my God. So I'm an advocate of meditation. Did you did you meditate before you got to Deepak or?
Oh yeah. This is super funny. So I felt the pandemic coming in January. So February, I signed up for his app. It's February of 2020. And then March hit. And then I was like, okay, this is time for self-care. I got to take care of myself. So I went to this meditation.
I don't know his app.
Oh, it's the Chopra app.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't know it, it's 100% worth the cost. It's like maybe 40, $50 a year. So I have definitely been meditating. That is my saving grace for this year. As well as just spending money on my own personal growth and development. So my soul came alive. I came back and there's just some things that hit me, rubbed me wrong. I was just like, oh, how do I keep my soul in this alive state? So I started leading into my network, leaning into how to be around a tribe of women that were really doing big and bold things. And I knew what I needed to do. I knew that I needed to play on a bigger stage. I needed to not only create my kind of own ABCs, which I call aliveness, belonging, and connection. So I need to create that for myself and then create that for others. So that's why I moved into more of this space, because my soul was stuck in this box called HR. And I don't want to be in only the box called HR. I want to have diversity. I want to have the entrepreneurial, energetic spirit. Like there's so many things that I knew that I wanted, and I'd spent so much time in what I didn't want. And that was getting old, thinking about what I don't want, thinking about the obstacles. I wanted to actually overcome the obstacles or jump out of the box.
So where did that come from within you?
So I think my 22-year-old soul came back alive, because when I was 22, I was biking all over the country to help people living with HIV and AIDS. One summer I biked 2,500 miles and raised $10,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm used to doing really big things and being really bold. And I lost that. And I was just like, no, I'm 45 and half of my life could be over. And I've already nearly died 2 times. So I was like, I'm going to stop playing small. And thank you. And I don't want other people to play small. Like life is too short. So I think it started again when I was 40, because my dad died when he was 40. So between 40 and 45, I've really struggled. The people around me have known that I have struggled. So when the pandemic hit, when I went and meditated and had all these, like, I would call it soul awakening moments, I couldn't unsee what I saw in myself.
Your circle around you, they knew that you were miserable. Did they say something to you? What do you wish they would have done? Like,
oh yeah. I'm going to blow your mind. I think my 12-year-old daughter came to me and she said, Mom, are you happy in life?
oh,
And I said, baby, that's a really good question. And Mama's going to work on that. So Carl Jung, if you Google it, he has this statement. He's a psychiatrist from way back in the 1800s. He said that the unfulfilled life of a parent is more damaging than a parent that has dealing with alcoholism or sexual abuse, because that's considered disease. And the lack of choice about just sitting on the couch and being miserable in your job, that's a choice to the child. So I really needed Alana, my daughter, was a reflection to me, and she was the mirror. And I said to myself that I need to be a role model for her. I don't want her to feel stuck in life ever. I want her to know that she can create anything she wants to create.
Absolutely. And you know what that reminds me of? My husband and I were taking our 2 daughters to get together, and they didn't want to go and they were resistant. And my husband sat down with them and said, your happiness is dependent on you saying that you're going to have a good time or not. All of your happiness comes from within you. So you can choose to have a good time or not. And I sat back and was like, that's the best lesson ever. Like, we're all in control of our thoughts and how we want to feel. And we are in charge of our happiness.
Okay. So then I started saying to the world, like, okay, this clearly isn't working to me. Universe, bring people into my life. Help me help myself. Because I knew that I couldn't do it alone. Yeah. And I needed these people around me. So then, who shows up? my good friend Amy, and I'm going to space out her last name right now, but she has this company called Kick Butt Coaching and Kick Butt Today. Do you know Amy?
No, I don't.
Okay. So anyways, she sent me this book from Ursula.
Yeah.
And then I was reading it, and you know who's in this book on page 126? My dear friend Renee. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm floating in this sea of really awesome women. And why am I not doing anything about it? Why am I not connecting? Why am I not being of service? And I just didn't have good answers to those questions. So I said, okay, I'm going to go and figure it out. I'm going to create something and call it magic. We're going to figure it out one day at a time. So it's the network that has really also helped me.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So the power, how has networking helped you, and how can we encourage others to embrace their network, Gina?
Yeah, I definitely let my network go for quite some time. I think I got a little complacent about where I was at in life. It was good enough, right? Like I was riding the wave. And I'm not a wave rider.
Right. I
like to make the wave. Yeah.
I'm a recruiter, and I was at Target Corporation for 7 years. And then when I left, I was like, oh my God, I've been like narrowly focused on building my network internally. I swear to God, they put a magic spell on me. Oh. And then I was looking around going, the recruiter just did the thing she would never say to anyone. You've always got to be networking external. And here I was. And it happens to so many people.
It's so easy. It's a slippery slope, right? Like all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, where in the heck am I? And what's really funny is that I worked at Target too. And I had a mentor there who gave me great coaching. She's like, Target is not everything. She's like, you need to honor yourself. And if that means Target, great. If that means somewhere else, great. I ended up leaving Target, took a demotion, got a 10% raise. Because at that point I was concerned more about money. At this point, I'm less concerned about money. It's more of the impact and the joy and the fulfillment that I have. So really, it's when I started putting myself out there, and it really is about also making the choice. So the minute you make the choice, then I think the universe opens up. If you're him-hawing, it's not going to go there, because I think the universe wants us to take action in a positive way. So the minute I stepped into it and I said, hey, I'm open, throw at me whatever you got, there were people pitching me in a room of people I didn't even know. So I was able to really jump ship and curate something that I didn't really know I was doing. I was speaking on panels. I was, joining organizations, creating powerful relationships, spending some money to do that. But at the same time, those benefits have way outweighed any sort of financial obligation that I had to join those organizations.
Exactly.
For example, I just went to a Ready, Set, Pivot event this past weekend. It was a room of 100 women. And that was probably the best $250, $300 that I spent all year for the bang power,
Oh yeah. I spend tens and thousands of dollars a year on growth and coaching and seminars. And then in those groups, you meet like-minded growth mindset people. And those are the connections. I think those connections are more invaluable than even the seminar at times.
Yeah. And that's what I kind of reminded me of my 22-year-old self, is that I was in this bubble of love. And that's why when I came home from this meditation retreat and I started networking, I was like, I don't like the title VP of HR. I don't like the title Chief People Officer. I don't like any chief titles. I want to be the leader of human kindness. So I just gave myself that title. I'm like, that's what I'm going to be. That's my title here and forever there more, is leader of human kindness.
Oh my gosh, that fits perfectly, right?
Well, and that way people can hold me accountable too, to say, hey, Gina, maybe you weren't very leaderful in this moment. Maybe you could have been more kind in this moment. So those are really important things for me. And I want to model that so that other people can also step into also being leaders of human kindness.
Yeah. So tell me, go back to the feeling of box. You're stuck in the box to now. Tell me what those emotions are like.
Yeah, night and day difference, because I'm literally creating the rest of my life. And it's a new moment every moment. So there is no standard. There is no safety and security other than I'm developing and building my safety and security. So what I did is I interviewed for a lot of other jobs, and maybe people, want to leave one job to go to the next job. And I totally support that. For me, I felt like I was rinsing and repeating, and that it wasn't still just the fit that I needed. So that's the aha, is that I worked for a very entrepreneurial organization, and I had this entrepreneurial spirit in my heart that I wasn't honoring. So I think it's about honoring who you are and what you need so that you can then go and serve the people who need you the most.
Right.
And granted, I'm sure the company I just came from needed me with the corporate team and the field team members. And for me, I knew that I needed to be on a bigger stage. So it was that pull rather than a push. The energy shifted.
I love that. And kudos to you for being so courageous and stepping into that. I mean, how can you help listeners do that in their lives if they're unhappy? Like, how do we get people to do it sooner?
Yeah, right. That's what I said too. I think that everything happens for a reason. So whether it's at 20 that you are struck by that spirit, or 30 or 40, like, it doesn't really matter when, because we make up time and sense of urgency all the time. It's really about when you're ready for it. I wasn't ready 3 years ago. However, I just didn't sit in that pain. I took action, right? I did personal growth and development. I was looking for opportunities. I expanded my network. So I think you have to be ready for it, to be honest. And then I love this responsibility process that I learned this year. It's about recognizing first where you're at, acknowledging, which is going through all the painful stuff and what I call the messy middle. The third piece is to forgive or change. Or I'm sorry, forgive or let go. The fourth piece is to change. So I think we all have to really do our own work. One of the guiding principles from my former company is be true to yourself and your aspirations. Every time I said that guiding principle, I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not being true to myself and my aspirations. And what I found is that I want things that are juxtaposition to each other. I want flexibility and I want security and stability. And I just couldn't find that in corporate America. It's that I want it all. I want more than what some people are able to give me. And that's okay. So I'm going to go out and create it and work with maybe 5 or 10 different people, or maybe one. It depends on what is fitting for me at that time, because I think we're constantly growing and changing. HR totally was the place for me 25 years ago, and maybe up until 3 years ago. And now it's not. And that's okay. I think it's about giving ourselves permission to say we don't only wear one hat.
Right.
We're not a one-sided coin.
Most definitely. And I love that. So you said responsible. What were those things? I could see people oscillating in between a couple of them. Like, it's not a natural.
Well, you might go up and down, kind of like the I also call it the grief cycle, which I think a lot of us have acknowledged the grief cycle too, right? You can pop in and out of different places. So it's recognize, which is really like awareness, right? Yeah. Recognition, then acknowledging what's true. And acknowledging is where all those feelings come in.
Right.
And then the forgiveness or letting go, and the change. So usually we want to go from recognition to change.
Yeah.
We don't want to deal with the acknowledgement and the forgiving and letting go.
But you have to, otherwise it'll continue to surface.
It'll continue to surface. And that's the thing that I was in. I was in this process of like acknowledge or recognizing it, but I didn't acknowledge it. So then it would come back around again. It would hit me again. So what I would say to the listeners is that if there's a thing like I would call it a film loop, like if there's certain situations that you're in that keep coming up and keep coming up and keep coming up, that's where you need to do the work.
Yeah. You got to cut the film loop and then it'll go spinning. And then you take a step forward.
Yeah. And you're not going to know what the next step, like when we talk about security and stability, I wanted to know what the next step was, right? Like we have this need to control. And the funny thing is that we just have to make the choice to stop, pivot, and then take a next step. And until you pivot, you don't know what's there.
Oh, right.
You can't even imagine it. Like the past 2 weeks have been great. Last week I worked 16 hours. This week, I think I've only worked 8 hours.
Fantastic.
And life is still happening. Nothing's falling apart. Yeah. And nothing will fall apart. Like I'm not even giving energy to the fact that I'm not going to be successful. I will be successful.
That's the key. That's the key is the mindset. Because your mind, you can create anything. Definitely.
Too. I mean, look at you. You've done great work. And I have a little puppy. So I'm at home. So in case my puppy pops in.
That's okay. What's their name?
Oh yes. So this is Oreo. She's a half Bichon, half Yorkshire Terrier, and we got her as a pandemic puppy. So she just turned a year old.
Oh, cute. Happy
So,
birthday, Oreo.
thank you. So the fact that she hasn't barked yet or has done, anything kind of crazy is good. And we will give her an appearance here.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, so we get lots of kissies, lots of tongues in the mouth when we don't want tongues in our mouths.
Awesome.
That's Oreo.
I love it.
Good
So
girl.
tell me about you talk about the great realignment, and what trends are you seeing, and what advice can you give our listeners?
Yeah, so a lot of people have been talking about the Great Resignation, and I have this sort of spin on, we have people leaving corporate America. We have people shifting jobs all the time. All the time. I don't think now is any different other than the fact that people are really going deeper, like we just mentioned, about how people are looking at their values. They're looking at what they want to deal with, what they don't want to deal with. Does a boss want your butt in the chair at 8 a.m. every day? Is there going to be a 7:30 morning meeting? Do you have to stay until 5? Some people have less of that option if they're, maybe in a non-exempt role. However, I think it's really that people are saying, I want these things. And there's no right or wrong. It's really about where people are at. And what I've seen a lot of conversation around is empathy. So how do we have this conversation about bringing the whole person to work and really honoring that? Who are the caregivers of the world, whether they're parents of young children, or they're in the sandwich generation where they're taking care of older parents? It's that we all have responsibilities outside of our 9-to-5 jobs, our day jobs, unless you're an entrepreneur where you work all the time. So it's really about going deep. And I think that we've done a disservice, at least in HR, to say, yeah, let's do exit interviews. Let's, look at lagging indicators. We really need to just stop and pause for a minute and talk about what is for people, and have more of these stay interviews, or really getting to know people. And now is the time. If we just turn the lights on and go back to normal, we will have missed a great opportunity.
Right. And I had John Bauer, who was an executive leader in supply chain at world-renowned companies, Target, Starbucks, and he gave me an aha. He said, one tip he would give to all leaders is start every single meeting when it's one-on-one, asking about the person and what they're doing outside of work and their children and all of that stuff. And I was like, wow. He's like, I never talk business at first.
Oh, of course
He's
not.
like, you have to care about your people.
Yeah. And the feelers of the world are going to get that. The thinkers of the world are like, why am I spending time there? And this is just, stuff that's maybe not as important. The hard thing though, is that leaders need to show up for their team. So their team is the most important. The team is the most important people in the room.
Right.
If you don't have the team, you're not going to need a leader.
Right.
So we actually, my former company, we use the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS, by Gina Lemon.
Who's here at TalentQ?
Yep. And I like that you start out with the meetings with business best, personal best. So it really is about, we're humans first, we're employees second.
Right.
So when did we lose that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things American culture and with working in business that I think we can improve upon.
And the other thing too is that I also, kind of on this beef where, leaders want HR to do more. And I think the challenge is that HR is saying things. I don't know if HR is always heard.
Oh, I totally agree. I've seen that before.
So how do we really level the playing field and say everyone needs to be heard, whether it's a team member, whether it's human resources? I think now is the time to figure out how to listen to people differently, or give space to that. That's why I said I wanted Brene Brown on my bus, because she'll be vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. Gina, where do you get your inspiration from? You dropped a few names already, but where do you get inspiration from?
I really do like Mel Robbins. She's really real. Her life's not all put together in shiny rainbows and roses. So I like the fact that she's really authentic. I was
Yes.
able to meet her at a book signing launch, and
You did?
yeah, she came and spoke with Associated Financial. So that benefits broker provides leadership learning opportunities, and they brought Mel Robbins in. So they able to hear her speak and get her book signed. So that was a cool moment. Really, if I am telling you about inspiration, it's all the people who have done really hard work before me. And those are a lot of different people. So it's those who have really been a part of the AIDS pandemic. It's those who have helped lift up our children that have been struggling and in poverty. It's all the people who are dealing with the racial injustice of the world. Like there's so many areas of opportunity where humans really need more kindness. So it's a big group. It would be hard to name. And I think what's, challenging for me is that I would love to talk more about the people who are making an impact locally here in Minneapolis and really highlighting more of those Minneapolis people than talking about the national celebrities of Mel Robbins, because I think that change and inspiration really happens grassroots and by working with local people and building up our community. And that is another hard thing too, that we had George Floyd that was murdered in our backyard. And how do we continue to lean into what our African-American Black brothers and sisters want and need?
Right.
So it's there's a lot that I gain inspiration from. It's just really seeing the humanity and realizing that, yeah, it's not terrible and we still need help.
Right. Yeah. You and I are the same. I love people too. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack sometimes.
There is. And just being at the table with other people is what I consider a huge blessing. So I don't have to be the right person. I don't have to know all the information. I think just to, run the race together, to be on this Zoom cast, it just really fills my heart and warms my soul, and to honor and support you as much as you're honoring and supporting me. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm grateful to have you. I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful for you being so courageous and taking that step and to stepping into your greatness, because a lot of people don't do that. Where can our listeners find you?
Well, so it's interesting. I love that you're asking this question, because LinkedIn is where I would send people first and foremost. And I apparently forgot to take away all the squeezy toys.
Oh, that's okay. I heard Oreo growling. It's okay.
But this is real life.
Yeah.
I would say LinkedIn first and foremost. I do have the website pandemicpossibilities.com. However, there's not a lot there today because I'm in this process of creating. So I really want to figure out where the needs are and who my audience is before I craft too much and send people in too many directions. I guess I'm also on Instagram, Pandemic Possibilities on Instagram. So a couple of different places, and LinkedIn is where people can find me and email me and communicate. So I would love it to continue to build up our great community here in Minneapolis and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. I truly appreciate it, Gina. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much, Renee.
You bet. And for all of you job seekers who are interested in resume writing, interviewing tips, career coaching, go to payraiseandpromotions.com. And for all of you hiring leaders who are desperately trying to find top talent, go to TalentQ.net. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We are thrilled to have made a worldwide impact with listeners in 9 different countries. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please be sure to subscribe to Careers and Cocktails on YouTube and drop us a review on your favorite podcast app. If you're looking to update your resume or you're stuck in your career, I'm designated by LinkedIn as the top resume writer and career coach expert. I even created a resume and e-learning course to help you if you want to do your own resume. It's super simple and extremely affordable. Go to careersandcocktails.com to learn more. I also wrote a book called I Hate Mondays for all of you job seekers who hate your jobs and want to love your Mondays. You can go there for the same information. And of course, I am up to so much valuable information sharing that for you hiring leaders, if you want to find the secrets to finding the best talent, I have a hiring guide at careersandcocktails.com as well. I am here to share information and help people love what they do. Until next time, cheers.